I'm Jennifer Joseph. I'm the publisher of Manic D Press, and I'm here at City Lights Bookstore with Phoebe Longhi.
Hi, I'm Phoebe. I'm Jen's daughter.
And my name's John Longhi. I'm Jen's husband.
And he's also a writer.
And I'm a writer and an author, yes.
And Phoebe's also an author. And we're here to help celebrate City Lights' 60th birthday. I first visited City Lights when I was a teenager, and my goal in life at that point was to live within walking distance of City Lights Bookstore, which seems like it might be a strange goal in life, but for me it was like Mecca. And so it was the holy place of good books, and I achieved that goal when I graduated college. My college roommate, her aunt had an apartment that she was trying to sublet in North Beach, so we moved there to pay $75 a month rent, and I spent all my free time in City Lights reading. And I eventually did not ever want to work here. I wanted to be City Lights, so I started Manic D. Yeah, that was in 1984. I spent a lot of time looking at how City Lights books were constructed, how the poetry books, the fonts, the leading, the layout, how the books were constructed. I pretty much taught myself how to be a publisher by sitting in City Lights and looking at the books. I also learned about the importance of, having thought a lot about it, what does it mean to be City Lights? What does it represent in the world? You know, it represents excellent literature, a commitment to social justice, taking risks, putting stuff out there that nobody else would put out there. And I wanted to do that for my own generation. City Lights did a wonderful job at first, you know, representing certain writers in the 50s and 60s and 70s, and still, of course, publishes great books. But I was like, if we could do this for writers in the 80s and 90s and millennial writers, that would be awesome. And so almost 30 years later, Manic D is still going. And throughout my journey as a publisher, City Lights has been like family. Nancy Peters was somebody I could always call and ask stupid questions to. Bob Sherrard, when I was first starting, was so helpful. Paul Yamazaki has been awesome, and of course, Stacey Lewis is, like some of the family, as is Peter. So, City Lights is our home away from home, and I feel so privileged to have this bookstore, this publishing company in my life.
Alright, City Lights is special to me basically because this is where I grew up. My mom would always take me to book readings that she was either running or was invited to, and this was when I was really young, so she'd always send me to sit in the children's section, and basically it's made me the awesome person I am today. And I keep on coming back because I've met some really amazing people here. I've met Stacey Lewis, I've met I don't know, I've met just a lot of people through my mom and all of her friends here. People who've become part of our family.
The first time I ever came to City Lights was when I was in college. I think it was in 1982, and I was completely amazed by the bookstore, and I felt like it was the literary center of the United States. And I was a punk rocker making zines at the time, and I thought, wow, if I could just get my zine in the consignment section of City Lights, I'd have it made as a writer in America. And the great thing is not only has that happened, I've had books carried in the store for like 20 years. I've read here over and over. I remember the first time I read here, which was for the Verdict Is In reading back in like 1990 or something like that, and I was like, oh my God, I've read at City Lights, I've made it as an author. And I've actually gotten to read over and over the years, and it's been one of the most fulfilling and gratifying experiences of my life to be involved with this place, to perform here, to have my books sold here, to live nearby. I always considered it like a museum and a library combined, where I could come and just see the great works of modern literature and just immerse myself in them. And I have wonderful memories of just sitting in the poetry room, looking through a bunch of books and finally buying one that was perfect. And there was I was going to make one personal anecdote about a staff member's. When we lived in Stockton Street for years and years and years, and I used to see Lawrence Ferlinghetti just walking around the neighborhood. I used to see him at the pool. We'd be doing laps together or something like that. And there was a great little story I was going to try and dig up for this where I had this horrible Chevy Cavalier that used to stall out in the middle of traffic all the time, and I was looking for parking in North Beach one afternoon coming home, and which was a real chore, which could take 45 minutes or an hour, and this Chevy Cavalier died in the middle of the street, and so I had the hood up, and it was just so that a cop wouldn't pull me over, so you would know that I was distressed, and I was kind of waiting for it to cool off or hopefully start up again, and all of a sudden Lawrence Ferlinghetti comes walking by, and he's like, I know a few things about cars, let me see if I can fix it. He just goes in and starts working on the engine and looking at stuff and checking stuff out, and I just felt like screaming like, no, these are the hands that wrote Coney Island of the Mind. These are the hands that wrote Starting at San Francisco, some of my favorite poems. Don't sully them in the grease of my horrible automobile, but he actually helped me fix up the car, and it drove on its way, and I'm not sure exactly how, but and
it was the good Lawrence Ferlinghetti energy.
It was the positive energy or something like that. And so for years afterwards, when I'd run into people I'd gone to college with or something like that, and the subject of Lawrence Ferlinghetti would come up, I'd always be like, oh, Lawrence Ferlinghetti? He's my mechanic. It would just be this little literary anecdote. And I had a literary professor who was my creative writing teacher, was hugely influential on me, Bernie Kaplan at the University of Delaware, and he even got to make that little joke with him once, which was a really great kind of full circle of how city lights had become part of my life, and this just my great cultural hero helped me fix my car, for Christ's sakes, and just because he was a good Samaritan and a good neighbor. And so that was always one of those North Beach stories that's always resonated wonderfully in my mind. And
Long live City Lights.
Yes, long live City Lights.
Happy anniversary.
Yes, a good neighbor and a good friend.